I did not grow up in a home where I had any exposure to government or to politics. Both of my parents were educated. My father was a foreign language professor, but I don't remember one conversation at all about government or politics. And so I was leading my blissful, normal life up until the year 2013, and at the end of that year, there was someone in my extended neighborhood. I didn't know the person very well, but I knew they had served on a city council before. And when they called for a church reason to give us some appointments for our son returning home from a mission, at the end of that conversation, this man said, "And by the way, I think you should run for city council in 2015. And like I laughed, just like I laugh now. It still makes me laugh because it was just random, and I thought he was joking. But he said to me, "I'm not joking." And I had had a business of my own in sales, in photo industry for many years. And so, my kids were growing up. I was just sensing that there would be a change in my future. And so the next day I called him and I said, "Well, how much do city council members make?" And the answer was $500 a month. That might be kind of fun for money, but it certainly wasn't going to replace the income I was making. And so that initial question and kind of prompt just made me curious, and I started to be interested in looking into it. So I attended a city council meeting in the new year. This was January of 2014. And at that time, the city where I live needed someone to fill a spot on the planning commission. So a city planning commission, which does planning and zoning for citizens. That meets 2 Thursday evenings in a month and makes $30 a meeting. And so I asked a neighbor, "Well, what do you do on a planning commission?" Because I didn't know anything about it. And he said, "Well, we approve chickens for people who want to put chickens on their property." And I was like, "I don't have time for that." But then on the last day, last hour, when applications were due, both the first person who encouraged me to run for office and the mayor of our city, who we kind of knew in just a friendly way, both called and said, "Why have you not applied?" And I said, "It doesn't sound like they do much but approve chickens." And they said, "No, city planning commissions do a lot of wonderful work for their cities and for their fellow residents, and they work on a general plan, they do this and that." And so I was encouraged to go and fill out the application, which I did. And that is what started me on my path. I remember sitting down in my very first planning commission meeting. And by the way, I wrote on the application, there's different questions, and I was thinking, gosh, I don't have anything in my background that makes me a good city planning commissioner candidate. You know, I love business. We were finishing raising 5 children at home. I've certainly done things at church, but I didn't have anything in my background that particularly would stand out to be a good city planner, but it didn't matter. And so 5 people were interviewed, I was appointed, and the first meeting, I'll never forget, I sat down, there were 6 other members of the Planning Commission, and so I was meeting the people sitting next to me, and the guy said his name was Jake Garn, and I thought, "Oh, that sounds kind of familiar." And turns out he's the son of a United States Senator, Jake Garn. And because I didn't grow up in Utah, I wasn't super familiar with the name, but he said, "Yes, my father has served," and mentioned a couple positions. And this was another really standout comment that I'll never forget. He said, "I wish everyone in federal government had started on a city planning commission." And so that addresses one of the other questions. I feel very strongly about local service and the impact of local government, and that it's a wonderful foundation for other kinds of service to just be involved in your own city. That's how I got started.